Coming up next on Making Moves, Governor Chris gives the go-ahead for bids on one of the most ambitious construction projects in First Coast history. Bill Milnes has all the details about what the Outer Beltway will mean to this region. Then we'll learn how a new JTA overpass has removed a Jacksonville intersection from the most dangerous list and which one could be next.
Shrimping is part of Nassau County's rich, colorful past, but the focus is now on the future. I'm Terry Casey. I'll tell you what they have planned coming up.
And we'll show you how you can use JTA to get back to nature. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Stay tuned for those stories and more next on Making Moves. Welcome to JTA Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Michael Blaylock is here. He'll be joining me in just a moment. But first, let's check the JTA headlines. Just weeks after hearing that no federal Tiger Grant monies will be coming to Florida, monies it had hoped to use to fund a regional transportation center in La Villa, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority learned it will be getting $9.3 million in federal stimulus money from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Now, 1/3 of that funding will go directly toward buying 9 new buses for the JTA fleet. In addition to the new vehicles, more than 60 buses in JTA's fleet will be outfitted with the mini hybrid electric cooling system we profiled on Making Moves back in November. The system helps the buses run at a more even temperature, preventing wear and tear. So far, the cooling system has also reduced JTA's fuel costs by some 10%. The balance of the stimulus funding will go to non-advertising bus shelters, improving bus routes, and a new regional park and ride hub in Clay County. Right now, JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock joins us. Michael, let's start with that Tiger Grant. How disappointing was it to find out that you weren't going to get the money?
Well, we were disappointed, but considering the fact that they only had about $1.5 billion that was available for that particular competition, we had some 4,000 applications from around the country. And had all those applications been funded, you were talking about $60 billion. But the good news is that we are looking for another alternative to seeing that La Villa Regional Center come out of the ground. So, and I'll be talking to you about that later. But so our hope is not lost. I think we've got some rams in the bush there.
Okay, but what about that $9 million in stimulus money? I got to be happy about that part.
Well, and that's how life goes. There's good news, and then of course there's bad news. But the good news is we got the $9 million, and that's certainly going to help us to further modernize the fleet, push that regional effort in Clay County, and we have a great partnership there in Clay County. Looking forward to that facility coming out of the ground. So it's going to help us do a number of things to improve our service for our customers.
Let's talk about those 9 new buses. Will you actually replace 9 buses in your fleet, or how are you going to do that?
Yeah, that's part of the modernization. We will be replacing some of the older buses, but as a part of that entire effort, we're also purchasing the small community shuttle buses that a lot of our viewers are seeing now in their neighborhoods. So it's a good thing for Jacksonville.
And we do love those community shuttles. That's a whole nother story.
That's another story.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, she's a banker by trade, but Marty Lanahan is also the chairwoman of the Florida Transportation Commission. So she is really more than familiar with transportation issues affecting both our region and Florida as a whole. Lanahan was a guest at a recent Women in Transportation breakfast where she talked to the group about transportation trends here in the Sunshine State. Making Moves caught up with Lanahan to get her take on where we are now and the outlook for the future.
We're seeing that people are driving less, and they're driving more efficiently, and they're driving hybrids. So our revenue stream is eroding, and it's a big issue for transportation because that's historically the way we've been funded. $220 million is nothing compared to what it's going to cost to do those other projects. I think we can be that quiet first to deliver because it's just not that the value proposition is very high and the cost to deliver is relatively low. So we may be feeling like we're left out, but candidly there's a little quiet group that's saying let's just go ahead and do this project. You may be surprised by some of the things that are coming, which would be great. I love it when North Florida's first.
Women in Transportation is dedicated to exploring critical transportation issues and advancing women in the field of transportation. You know, Michael, so much talk has been lately about the Sunrail and high-speed rail in Orlando and Tampa, and really that Jacksonville is going to be kind of like in the background of that. But you're saying, and Marty Lanahan is saying, that really this whole region is in the forefront.
Yes, and we're actually the gateway. But I tell you, Joyce, it's really exciting to see Marty Lanahan take the helm as the chairman of the Transportation Commission. You're talking about a highly intelligent, very energetic, and savvy business person that's taking on that leadership role. And so what she's sharing with the community, and I think what you're going to see through that leadership, is a further advancement of that discussion of putting Jacksonville at the forefront. Because after all, we are the gateway to that whole rail initiative. And without Jacksonville being in that connection, then you're not going to have a complete system.
That's right.
So I think that she's on the right track. She certainly has the enthusiasm and the leadership. So I'm expecting some great things from Marty.
Okay, but $200 million. Okay, where is that coming from?
Well, and then that's all part of the discussion because, again, that's another issue that we've talked about often, changing the dynamics of how we finance public infrastructure. And so Marty gets that, Chairman Lanahan gets that, she understands that from a policy level. And all those discussions are occurring around the state and around the nation in terms of how we're going to change the way we finance public infrastructure. But I tell you, at the end of the day, rail will be in Florida and we will find the $200 million plus.
Absolutely. And finally, JTA is teaming up with area schools and the Jacksonville Suns baseball team to help promote its popular Summer Youth Pass. The authority is holding a video contest through its website. To enter, just download the jingle copy, registration form, and the rules at www.jtafla.com. All entries must be submitted no later than May 14th at 3 p.m. to be eligible.
And the goal that we would like to do is encourage kids to participate in something that's fun, that's creative, that has to do with the arts, and that also relates to transit and getting them around town.
The winning video will be shown on the Jumbotron at the baseball grounds prior to the Suns game on June 26th, as well as on YouTube and the JTA website. A radio spot featuring the winner will also be produced and featured during the Suns radio broadcast. The top 3 entries will all receive prizes courtesy of the Suns and JTA. Florida Governor Charlie Crist recently visited our region to announce that he is escalating the bidding process for the First Coast Outer Beltway, a $2 billion corridor project that would link Clay and St. Johns counties. As Making Moves Bill Milnes tells us, area leaders say the huge price tag for the Outer Beltway will be compensated with thousands of new construction-related jobs and a long-term economic payout for the entire region.
It was June 1st of last year when Florida Governor Charlie Crist made his way to Northeast Florida to sign legislation that paved the way for the First Coast Outer Beltway. The problem is the Florida Department of Transportation had no money to pay for the project. Now, nearly 10 months later, the governor returned to announce he was accelerating the bidding process to find a private master contractor that would build the nearly $2 billion project. A project that will span 3 counties and cross the St. Johns River.
Every $1 billion spent in transportation creates about 34,000 jobs.
That private builder would recoup its massive investment by charging tolls to use the Beltway.
And I know it will be a toll road, but I don't mind that because the money I would save in gas from where I would turn off to go on this road, I'm going to save more money in gas than what the toll would cost.
Officials are anxious to get the Outer Beltway project bid as quickly as possible, and the reason is quite simple. Construction costs are lower now than they've been in quite a long time, and that will significantly lower the overall cost of this project.
In fact, some predictions have the cost down as much as 30 or even 40%.
So we think this project, which used to maybe be a $2 billion project, could maybe it comes in at 1.5 or 1.2 or 1.3 billion. Still a huge project, but I think the time's right.
But is the project worth the construction costs and future tolls that citizens wanting to use the roadway will be forced to pay? Leaders from Clay, St. Johns, and Duval counties all agree that job creation and future development make building the Beltway a wise economic investment for the entire region.
We need our industry to get back to work. Our road building and construction industry was the one most impacted in these times. And a job like this is a $2 billion job. I mean, the economic and spiral effect that will happen in Duval County is unbelievable.
There was an employer in Green Cove Springs, 250, 300 jobs. They have a group from Egypt coming in that want to do business and open up those markets. They've done a little work, but they do it primarily through the port and the First Coast Outer Beltway. They were excited to hear there's probably going to be some positive news today. It's very critical to that and immediately would allow them to really expand, possibly double or triple the amount of business they do right now.
Governor Christ says the economic benefits of this project extend far beyond the three-county area that will be home to the Beltway.
The First Coast Outer Beltway is so important not only to the entire northeast of Florida, but it's important to Florida's economy across the state.
In Clay County, Bill Milnes, JTA, making moves.
For the folks I mentioned earlier, JTA.
And Michael, you know, we keep hearing about the Beltway being a public-private partnership. Explain to our viewers exactly what that means and how it's going to work.
Well, it goes back to my other argument about changing the dynamics of how we finance public infrastructure. And so what the Outer Beltway represents is an opportunity for the private sector to engage and bring money to the table to help finance these kinds of projects. So it's an exciting news for Jacksonville and for our region and for our, for the counties. Participating in this is just a great move for our region. So it's just another opportunity to get the private sector dollars to the table to help accelerate a lot of these projects that we have on the table.
Absolutely. So what role has JTA been playing to kind of make all of this happen?
Well, the good news is that we have been in lockstep with the Florida Department of Transportation. They've done a really incredible job of really advancing this project. We're going to be working with them on the northern extension. This is just the southern component of the Outer Beltway. And so we're going to be looking to partner with them in terms of the Nassau County, or as you enter into the state, from Nassau County into the southern portion of the project. So it's good news for us, it's good for DOT, and we're just real happy about that.
Okay. Hundreds of traffic accidents happen every year in this city, but one intersection has proven more dangerous than any other, Atlantic Kernan. It's been at the top of JSO's accident list for 6 consecutive years, but a new JTA construction project may push the Atlantic Kernan intersection off the danger list for good.
If you want to see a traffic accident, well, this is the place to be. The intersection of Atlantic and Kernan Boulevards. That according to a report from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office listing the top 10 accident-prone intersections in the city.
On a weekly basis, there was at least one accident I would witness traveling through here.
Over the past 6 years, there have been more accidents here than anywhere else in Jacksonville.
This intersection here is a major artery through to the beaches and to downtown, to places where they work. You have a large flow of traffic. A lot of the traffic crashes were rear enders, where people weren't paying attention.
The numbers are astounding. 2004, 240 accidents with 16 injuries. 2005, 225 accidents, 43 injuries. 2006, 185 accidents and 22 injuries. Every year, the same story. In fact, during the past 6 years, there have been nearly 1,200 accidents at this intersection, by far more than any other intersection in all of Jacksonville. Those accidents have resulted in a total of 162 injuries and 1 fatality. But it's the numbers that are no longer on this list that may tell a more important story and give some hope to motorists that use Atlantic and Kernan. Another intersection, in fact one just south of here at Beach and Kernan, also found a place on this dubious list each year between 2004 and 2008. Over that span, there were 726 accidents with 95 injuries and 1 fatality. But that all changed in 2009 when the JTA erected a new overpass that helps manage traffic flow here more safely.
So are there still accidents here? Sure there are. This is still a very busy corridor. But after JTA opened this overpass early last year, accidents here fell off significantly. So significantly, in fact, that Beach and Kernan went from being number 2 on the list in 2008 to falling off completely in 2009.
So with the new overpass currently under construction at the Atlantic and Kernan intersection, motorists who travel through here are hoping for similar results.
I believe, or I hope, the accident rate will be greatly reduced.
I hope so. If it's anything reflection of the Beach Boulevard intersection, it should.
On the south side, Eugene Lindsay, JTA, making moves.
You know, Michael, it's one thing to know that your projects are good, especially, you know, in JTA, but then to have the document, the proof that says it really is good and it really is working and making a difference and maybe saving lives.
And that's important. You know, when we approach these kinds of projects, you know, road projects, we're looking not only just for capacity improvements or improving the flow or clearing up the bottlenecks. I mean, we are also evaluating the safety, you know, of these type of projects. And so clearly this ranks at the very top in terms of that improvement. So, I mean, that's part of our mission. That's what we do. You know, you may recall, Joyce, that was a very controversial project. But again, you know, you got to do what's good for the overall good of the community. And so I'm real pleased to see those things are improving, those numbers are improving. And again, the opportunity to save a life, the opportunity to improve the safety of our facilities is what we should be doing.
Always looking toward the future.
Absolutely.
Okay. And still to come on Making Moves, on our latest installment of Terry Casey Reports, we find Terry in Nassau County, where a rich and colorful past is not slowing down his vision for the future. Then later, we get a taste of the outdoors as we go around town in JTA in Arlington at the Tree Hill Nature Center. So stay with us.
JTA Making Moves, brought to you in part by Florida State College at Jacksonville and the Chestnut Law Firm. Justice because you deserve it.
My family's been in the same business for over 100 years. And I'd like to think I carry on some of that family tradition at my law firm. My father taught me, you help who you can help, you service every family like they're your own, and you always, always give the very best. That's what we try to do with the Chestnut Law Firm. We help those who need help. We fight for justice because you deserve it.
I want a good career, and I know that Florida Coast Career Tech is going to help me find it.
I'm confident that I will find a great job after completing the program.
I've spoken with a lot of employers. Many of them will contact me prior to advertising for a position.
I hire Florida Coast Career Tech graduates because they're prepared with the skills that we need from day one.
I was so amazed how ready I was once I got hired. The training was identical to what I do every day. You can't get that training anywhere else.
Now you can see your very own Jacksonville Suns for free on Wednesdays and Sundays when you show your JTA Summer Youth Pass.
But that's not all. When you buy a JTA Summer Youth Pass for June for just $30, you get July absolutely free. Plus, we'll give you an August pass for half price.
That's right. 3 full months of unlimited travel on any JTA bus or trolley with your JTA Summer Youth Pass for just $45. And free admission to any Wednesday or Sunday Jacksonville Suns game with a valid pass.
So hit a home run with the Jacksonville Suns and the JTA. We're bringing you fun all summer long.
Anyone 18 years or younger is eligible for a JTA Summer Youth Pass. Get your pass today at the JTA administrative offices, the Rosa Park Transit Station, or online at jtafla.com.
JTA, part of your day, part of your community, part of your life.
Nassau County calls itself the Eastern Gateway to the Sunshine State, and with good reason. It's as far east as you can go without getting wet. Beautiful and diverse, Nassau County is Florida's gateway county on Interstate 95 South. In our latest installment of Terry Casey Reports, Terry shows us how Nassau County is trying to face its future without turning its back on a rich and colorful past.
County Commissioner Danny Leeper has spent his life here.
We have something no other place in Florida, the United States, or in the world for that matter, can lay claim to. That's the birthplace of the modern day shrimping industry.
In the old days, shrimpers aboard rowboats stayed inshore with cast nets and such. Then a couple of guys from around here said, what if we power fleets of boats, big ones, go offshore and go deep? Well, that changed everything.
It's part of our history along with the shipping industry of the late 1700s.
From a saloon nearly as old as the Declaration of Independence, to a Civil War fort, to the beginning of Florida's first railroad, and the only place in the country ever under 8 different flags. Part of a great legacy, but like the shrimping industry, it's history now.
We know Nassau County is making a transition from being a rural, laid-back, quiet kind of a place to part of a vibrant metropolitan area.
Steve Reich heads the Economic Development Board.
And it's making that transition, I think, that's going to be the real challenge for us in the future.
That includes growth and jobs for thousands of residents who commute to work outside the county. But a plan to deal with that is in the works now.
We're working with one of the largest landowners, Rayonier, Terra Point. We're working with them to change the land use of about 1,800 acres in the Crawford Road area, which is south of Callahan, to an industrial park.
This rail intersection close to the planned industrial park is important. It's also unique in this part of Florida for 2 railroad giants, CSX and Norfolk Southern, to have that access. As for the park,
we hope that we'll be able at some time in the future to tie that project in with an extended outer beltway for the region.
A regional approach may be the answer.
And one partnership, of course, would be working with the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. How do we move people? And they can help us in the planning stages as we move forward and identifying sites where we want to bring in employment centers.
One thing that mass transit needs is population density. Again, Nassau County is still rural. We've only got 72,000 residents here, but as we grow in the future, what we'd like to do as economic developers is provide places for transit-oriented development to occur. That is, that you've got maybe a commuter rail system, and on that commuter rail you've got nodes of neighborhoods and work areas.
Spurring economic growth and reversing the commute. As for the future,
the future's bright as I've ever seen it.
In Nassau County, Terry Casey for Making Moves.
Next up, Terry is heading to Putnam County. Look for that report in our May show. It's one of the most tranquil places on the First Coast. There is beauty everywhere at this nature-rich preserve in Arlington. And thanks to JTA, it's an easy ride from just about anywhere. Let's take a closer look as we go around town to Tree Hill Nature Center. Tucked away in Arlington, yet bursting with the sights and sounds of nature at its best, is Tree Hill Nature Center. This is another jewel in Jacksonville that's been around for nearly 40 years.
I describe Tree Hill as just a beautiful, tranquil, green nature escape.
Imagine this, just about a half a mile from this busy intersection filled with cars, filled with noise, sits Tree Hill Nature Center. So come down the street with me just a little closer. But come with me to a place where the scenery really starts to change. And in fact, it transforms into your own very personal oasis. Chris Robertson is the development director for Tree Hill. He says there are many programs going on daily. Robertson says school kids are very familiar with Tree Hill and always seem to enjoy the animal encounter program the best. But that's only the beginning.
It's just the nature, the greenscape. You come out here, you have 50 acres of woods, trails, we have some animals, all Florida native animals, Florida native plants. We have a Florida Natural History Museum.
And did we mention the Tree Hill Amphitheater? This month marks the 9th annual Butterfly Festival, which is always held here. So many family options all in one place and convenient to everyone. In fact, Tree Hill officials say public transportation, JTA, is one of the easiest ways to get to this nature park.
It's actually a good option. You know, we're all about environmental concerns here and trying to save the environment. So, you know, hopping on a bus, coming right out here, you can just walk up the hill. It's really a short distance. And then you have this beautiful place.
Time now for some final thoughts with Michael Blaylock.
Joyce, there's 4 things that I'd like to chat with you in this segment of our Final Thought series. And first of all, I want to thank our viewers for the rating increase that we've got of late. And it's really, really encouraging that the information is going forward and we're keeping the community informed. And so I really want to thank our viewers for really tuning in and welcoming us into their homes. The second thought I'd like to share is the promotion of our Summer Pass program for youth. And that's an incredible value that I really want to encourage the parents to participate in. Basically keeping the kids busy this summer, purchasing those passes, allowing them to see what we have in this beautiful city called Jacksonville. And we, as you pointed out in several of our segments, we have a lot of areas, a lot of venues, the museums, the movie theaters, the malls, where transportation is being provided through JTA. And I really, really want to encourage the viewers to participate in it. It's a wonderful venue for our young people. Keep them busy this summer.
That's right.
The third thing I want to share with you is that the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, like all the other major companies in Jacksonville and in the region, is really promoting the effort of purchasing tickets for the Jaguars, season ticket holders. And this is an incredible move for our area. And I think as I travel around the country, Joyce, a lot of times we do participate in those relocation exercises for companies that want to come and relocate in Jacksonville. And one of the things we do promote is the presence of the NFL team in our community. It is a jewel in our community. It is something that we all should really support in terms of participating and keeping the Jaguars here in Jacksonville. And again, of course, we provide Jaguar shuttle services, an excellent service, highly rated service for our community to participate in. So it's one of those crown jewels of our community that we really, really want to support our employees and the overall community to take part in what we believe is very, very significant for our area. And then, of course, my last thought, of course, is on the issue of rail. And I think Marty Lanahan did a very good job of really trying to promote that idea. Rail in Florida is going to be an exciting opportunity for our state. And quite frankly, Joyce, we cannot meet the mobility needs of this entire state utilizing one particular mode. We can't build ourselves out of it. We don't have enough right-of-way to expand all the road networks that we'd like to. And of course, rail brings another mode of opportunity for people to travel in. So you're going to be hearing a lot about our strategies in terms of making Jacksonville the gateway to the entire Florida network for rail. So I'm just really excited. It's a good start for us, and so I'm really pleased.
Absolutely, an exciting April.
Thank you.
And that will wrap up this edition of Making Moves. We're glad you could join us today, and we hope that you'll make us part of your Sunday must-see TV viewing. We're here every second and fourth Sunday at noon or anytime on the web at jtafla.com. For Michael Blaylock and the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We hope to see you again when we're making moves.